So one of the principles of the ancient Stoics are those who practice Stoicism. And Stoics existed, in fact, Stoics are those Greek philosophers who existed over 2,000 years ago, mostly during the time of the Roman Empire. So those are the people we call Stoics. Those Greek philosophers back then, so many thousands of years ago. And you all know most of these Greek philosophers, it's as if, and it seems that they were wiser than we are now. It seems that those philosophers back then, we are, as of then, wiser than us, than we are now. That's the truth. Because if you read most of these books on philosophy, on Stoicism, and all those things, you discover that these guys, discover that these guys, they, in fact, they were wise. Honestly speaking, if you read books on Stoicism and philosophy, ancient philosophy, you discover that these guys were wise, extremely wise. It's as if they foresaw the future. And the funny thing about these books of philosophy and Stoicism is that it talks about the ancient life back then. And when you read it and compare it with the present day behavior of human beings, like when you compare how human beings back then behaved, because philosophy is based on the principle of human nature, of human beings. That's what philosophy basically means. Like, is a principle to live life. So it basically talks about humans and their nature. So when you look at the nature of human beings and their mentalities and their mode of thinking back then and compare it to the present human beings in today's world, you discover that there is not much difference between people of today and people of back then. Human beings are still the same. So one of the principles of the ancient Stoics was, or is rather, never suffer imagined problems. Never suffer imagined problems. For example, some people know how to kill themselves before they are actually killed. People know how to kill themselves before they are actually killed. What do I mean? For example, you are having an examination tomorrow. This is like an easy to relate example. You are having an exam tomorrow. In your mind, you're already telling yourself, I'm going to fail this exam. Mind you, you've not written the exam, you've not seen the questions, but in your mind, you're already convincing yourself to believe that you are going to fail that exam. That is you suffering imagined problems before it happens. That is you being pessimistic. So what the ancient Stoics say is that as a human being, you should not suffer imagined problems. Do not anticipate things, but do not anticipate bad things for yourself. You are doing something in your mind, you see yourself already failing at that thing. You are trying to strike a business deal. In your mind, you're already imagining the person you are trying to make the deal with rejecting your proposal. You are being pessimistic. You are being negative. And you know, our mind has a way of controlling us. And our mind has a way of working with the universe to chart a path for us. So a situation whereby you are being negative about something you want to do, like it or not, that thing you are imagining, that negative thing you are imagining, you might actually put it in motion because you are not thinking about it too much. And before you know it, that thing actually happens. You read for an exam, you know that you've read for it, but in your mind, you are saying to yourself that you are going to fail this, or you are too afraid that you are going to fail it, to an extent that you now start believing that fear that I'm going to fail this thing. Before you know it, you get into the exam hall the next day and write nonsense, and you fail because you've wired your mind to think that you are going to fail, in spite of all the books you read. Some of us, we prepare for things, but we never prepare our minds for the things we're about to do. We're always thinking of the negativities of everything we want to do. We're always focused on the negative part. Some of us are that pessimistic. They're always afraid that things will not work out well. They can never be positive about anything they are doing. And those kind of people, they always end up not and those things never work out well for them. Because it's a situation whereby you're always thinking about the negative part of everything and always seeing the negative part of everything. Obviously, the negative part will happen because you've already imagined it. You've already feel it in your head that this bad thing is going to happen. So what the Stoics say is never suffer imagined problems. Always be positive. Approach everything with a sense of positivity. This is an ancient philosophical saying. Never you suffer imagined problems. Because the more you suffer imagined problems, the more that problem you are suffering in your head already is going to happen. Yes, it's going to happen because you've already imagined it in yourself that you're going to fail. Why would you fail? Because once you imagine it, it starts affecting your action, which will not force you to fail in that which you want to do. Because subconsciously, you've accepted the fact that you want to fail, and therefore you have to fail. So never you suffer imagined problems. Don't fear too much. Don't see the negative part of everything. Seeing the negative part of everything is okay, because anything you are doing in life, you have to imagine the worst case scenario. But you now have to wire your mind to focus on the positive parts. You have to wire your mind to focus on the positive part of it. So that's basically it, guys. Never suffer imagined problems.